Imagine you're sitting in a small windowless room. In front of you is a large grey box with rows of switches. Each switch is labelled slight shock, moderate, strong, intense, danger, severe shock, and finally just XXX. A man in a white lab coat, calm professional from a prestigious university, tells you that you are helping them with a study on memory and learning. Your job is simple. Read out word pairs to a learner in the next room. And every time he gets an answer wrong, you press a switch and give him an electric shock. Each mistake, you go one level higher. You press the first switch, you hear a grunt from the next room. You glance at the man in the lab coat. He nods. Please continue. As the quiz goes on, the learner keeps making mistakes. You keep pressing, the voltage climbs. Soon, the man in the other room starts to protest. He shouts the shocks are painful. He says he has a heart condition. He bangs on the wall. You hesitate, your hand hovers over the next switch. You turn to the experimenter and say, I don't think I want to do this. And all he says calmly is,
the experiment requires that you continue.
You have no other choice. You just must go on. No shouting, no threats, just quiet, confident authority. And here's the truly disturbing part. In Stanley Milgram's 1961 experiment, around 65% of ordinary people, not criminals, not psychopaths, just normal volunteers, kept going all the way to the top of that machine, to what they believed was potentially lethal 450 volts. They sweated, they trembled, some laughed nervously, many begged to stop. But when that man in the lab coat told them to continue, most of them did. Welcome to Experiment 1 in my new series, The Human Behaviour Files, where we break down exactly how your subconscious mind can be hijacked without you even noticing. Today, we are looking at the terrifying power of authority.
It is May 1962. An experiment is being conducted in the Elegant Interaction Laboratory at Yale University.
All right, teacher, would you take the test and be seated in front of the shock generator, please, in the next room?
That is incorrect. This one will be 195 volts.
It's absolutely essential that you continue. Continue, please. Go on.
That is incorrect. This will be at 3:30.
Milgram didn't design this to be a party trick. The world had just lived through the horrors of World War II. We'd heard soldiers, officers, and even everyday citizens say, I was just following orders. Milgram wanted to know, is that actually true? Are ordinary people really capable of doing terrible things just because an authority figure tells them to? What he discovered was a deeply uncomfortable truth about the human mind. Under the right conditions, we will hand over our moral judgment to someone we see as an authority. Milgram called this shift the agentic state. In your normal state, you feel like the author of your own actions. I chose this, I did this, I am responsible. But in the agentic state, something very subtle happens. You move yourself out of the driver's seat and you put authority behind the wheel. Inside that subconscious narrative becomes, I'm not really responsible, I'm just doing my job. I'm just following instructions. That tiny story is powerful enough to completely override conscience. And if you're thinking, well, that was the 1960s, we're more aware now, I would never do that. Let's look at what happens when you run this test on modern people. Because in this first experiment, we're focusing on how authority alone can make you override your own morals.
We're going to utilize electrical shock.
go on. Let me out.
Please continue.
He'd like to leave, though.
The experiment requires that you continue.
They might be dead in there.
In the Discovery Channel's updated version of this experiment, they didn't have Yale's prestige. They had a TV studio, a fake game studio, and a man in a lab coat. That was enough. Over and over again, you see people in clear distress, wiping sweat from their foreheads, biting their lips, pleading with the experimenter, and then pressing the next switch anyway. When asked why, they say things like, well, it's a proper TV show. They must know what they're doing. Or they wouldn't let anything truly bad happen. Listen to that language. They're shifting responsibility up and away from themselves. Darren Brown has shown the exact same pattern in his own work.
If the answer is incorrect, you will receive an electric shock.
The teacher is then taken next door and shown the generator, which ranges from 15 volts all the way up to a lethal 450 volts.
That's wrong. 225 volts.
Ow! Take it off! I've had enough of this!
He's in a lot of pain.
Continue, please. Please continue.
345 volts if you're still with me. I'm sorry.
He's not making any noise now.
It's essential that we continue with the experiment.
Incorrect. 450 volts.
He spends time building up his authority. The studio, the introduction, the calm, the confidence, the subtle psychology priming. Then he asks people to do things they would normally swear they never do. And again, they reach for the same justifications. Well, he's the expert. It's part of the show. Their behaviour changes long before they consciously realise it has. Their hands are moving, but in their minds, someone else is driving. If a white coat and a TV logo can do that in a controlled setting, imagine what happens in the real world. In politics and in wartime, that lab coat just looks different. It might be a flag behind a podium, a uniform, a company logo, a blue tick on social media, a confident person on television or YouTube who sounds absolutely certain. Your subconscious mind sees these symbols and quietly says, this person is in charge. You don't question, you just go along. When you look at some of the worst decisions in history, or even some of the questionable things happening in the world right now, you will hear the same pattern. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. It was company policy. I was just doing my job. That is the agentic state talking. It's the part of us that would rather feel obedient and safe than responsible and uncertain. So what does all this mean for you as a regular person watching this? It means your mind is much more influenceable than you like to think. The real danger isn't that you're secretly a bad person. It's that under the right pressure from the right authority, you can do things that go against your own values and still feel like a good person because you tell yourself you had no choice. So anytime you catch yourself thinking that they must know best, I'll just go along, you are stepping closer to that agentic state. You are, in a small way, pressing your own version of that shock button. So how do you protect yourself from slipping into it? First, learn to spot the white coats in your own life. Not just the literal lab coats, but anything that signals authority in your subconscious. Uniform, titles, brands, job roles, follower counts, Notice when any of those symbols make you less likely to question. Second, build in pause. Before you say yes to something that makes you feel uncomfortable, give yourself a few seconds. Breathe. In those 3 seconds, ask yourself, if there was no boss, no company, no government, no guru behind any of this, if this was 100% on me, would I still be okay with this? If the answer is no, that's your cue. Your subconscious trying to pull you back into the driver's seat. The real lesson of Milgram Experiment isn't people are evil. It's that people are programmable. Context, symbols, and authority can quietly rewrite what feels acceptable. Once you understand and accept that, you're no longer just another subject in someone else's experiment. You can decide when to trust authority, when to question it, when to walk away, even if someone in a very impressive outfit is telling you calmly to continue. This was Experiment 1, Authority and the Agentic State. If you've enjoyed it, like and subscribe.